So, Nick, it's been a few weeks. What has
Yeah,
happened?
a lot.
Brothers ready? Roll podcast and action.
Hello, everybody. This is the Real Brothers podcast from Alpha Centauri, the YouTube channel. I am Maxwell.
And I am. Ooh, you're going by a full name this time. It's so proper.
I always say that whenever I'm
And in that case, I am Nicholas.
I always
No,
say
I
that
don't like that.
whenever I'm introducing myself to somebody or something like that. I usually say I'm Maxwell, but I like to be called Max because then it's easier to say. Because then there's no, oh, your name's Matt. It's Matthew, and it's because it just kind of skips
Because
that little
people are
middleman.
people are dumb.
People
That's
are
what people.
very stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've learned
Oh,
in
and
life.
I'm Nick, and we are the Real Brothers.
We are the Real Brothers, and this is our podcast, and we talk about movies. How is life, Nick? It's been a while.
It's
How's
been a while, too long,
how's weather?
but sunny and lovely, and
Nice.
the weather in the movie scene is also fantastic. I mean, the last few weeks have been amazing.
Oh
Movie
yeah,
trailers, it's just great.
yeah. A lot of
It's
a lot of stuff, a lot of news, a lot of trailers, a lot of set photos that we're seeing.
uh-huh, uh-huh. I like it. I can't complain, to be honest. It's almost too much. Like
Yeah.
I just can't get over it. But
I
in
went
a good way, I guess.
last weekend. I went to the SUNY-wide film festival. I attended that. That was awesome. So I'll
Okay.
be sure to talk about that whenever the opportunity presents itself. Other than that, there's a lot of news that's been happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get to it then.
All right.
Pretty much the meat of it, the gist of it is like all these awesome trailers coming out. You got Star Wars, which is
Oh yeah.
huge. This happened a few weeks ago, but it's happened within the general last few weeks. Star Wars. You got Batman vs Superman. You got the leaked photos of Jared Leto, which I'm gonna get to. You got news about Deadpool. All this awesome, amazing stuff going on, which I'm really pumped for. I mean, this is kind of what I was gonna lead into the discussion, and if we want to go right into it.
Mhm.
But Star Wars and Batman vs Superman, though, you saw those trailers, right, Max?
Yeah, those are the two
How
top
epic
things
were
that have
they?
been happening. Oh, they're fantastic.
I
I
mean,
watch them before I go to bed at
so
night.
well done.
It helps. It
Yeah,
literally helps me sleep at night to rewatch those trailers.
yeah. I rewatch them. Like I'll like go to another TV that I haven't been to before and be like, huh. I'll watch the trailer on the TV because I haven't seen it here before yet.
Yeah,
And it makes me think about trailers that can be made right and trailers that can just suck. I mean,
I definitely
there's
want to
just
do that when we get to the end of the year, and which this series hopefully will last at least until the end of this year, and we're gonna focus on. I think by the end of the year we're gonna do kind of like the best of the year, obviously, and what I really want to focus on is take note of this throughout the year, the best trailers of the year.
oh yeah, and these two are gonna be out there.
Oh, absolutely, because they're just so well made. Those in the Mad Max trailers have just
Mad Max trailer was
been
awesome.
on point every single time. The guys who edit
Yeah,
them need to get like notoriety. They're fantastic trailers.
yeah, and then there's trailers that just kind of suck. A lot of them,
Oh yeah.
and we'll have a better judge at the end of the year. But it bugs me sometimes when people make you can see like those trailers blew me away. They were so like they introduced everything. They made it cool in this epic thing. They saw what you wanted. They showed you what you wanted to see, and you think to yourself, well, why aren't other trailers like that? Like that. This brings you to the one movie that you've probably seen, Ex Machina or Machina,
Ex
that you
Machina.
call it. Yeah, I if I took the time because I'm a science fiction, I love that shit. I took the time to look into the movie and kind of find out what it's about and the plot details and stuff like that. And it looks like an awesome movie. The
Oh yeah.
trailer doesn't do well at all. Like
Doesn't I've
it,
only
it,
seen
it
like a real quick trailer, so I haven't seen the full thing anyway.
it makes this into something really weird and like it makes it look like some like dude falls in love with a robot and it's like
Um,
everybody's already had enough with that with her. Nobody wants and people get weirded out enough by that topic, even though that was like an amazing movie as well.
Eh.
I just there are ways to do trailers that can make any movie look great, and Batman and Star Wars did a good job. I mean, bravo to them. I'm so fucking pumped. I can't even take it.
There's just so many lists of movie trailers that the trailer's done wrong, movies where the movie ended up doing right, and vice versa. That have been
Yeah,
certain things. Like I've we've done this before about Liam Neeson movies. They're always marketed as action movies, and not they might not always be action movies, and that's the problem with a lot of people's critique with his work is I'm not going to go see it. It's another action Liam Neeson movie,
yeah.
and
I'm one of those culprits. I
exactly,
have
and
to
I don't blame you.
admit it.
And
I
yeah, and
see
that's
Liam
the
Neeson with a gun on a phone, and I just don't want to see that movie again.
and well, and the same thing happened the same year that Nonstop came out. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, and that movie wasn't perfect, obviously, but they advertised it like, "Ooh, there's gonna be all these awesome villains in the movie," and there wasn't. There was one main villain. There was one kind of villain towards the end that was a setup for a future, whatever.
Yeah,
And then there was an even less of a setup with the Rhino. Like at the
yeah.
end, there's
That was a
there's
mess.
seriously like,
That was a mess. Looking back at it.
I mean, yeah, the movie, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But the fact that they advertised it like these three
Yeah,
villains are going to be going up against Spider-Man, and then the end is like literally 5 seconds of Rhino, and in every single one of the trailers and TV spots, the last clip is seen. The last shot of the entire movie is in it with Spider-Man in the sewage pipe, or this not the pipe.
yeah. It really bugs me. Trailers as a whole. My old roommate Dave brought this up. He's actually an avid listener. One of many,
We
of course.
have, yeah.
And he suggested doing something about trailers. And we'll do it at the end of the year, looking back at 2015. But I just wanted to say really quickly that there are really terrible trailers out there. And lately, like what you said, they try to just pack in like as much action and as much what they can get viewers in. But what they don't realize is they can present it in such a way that makes any movie epic. Like the Amazing Spider-Man was just threw in as much stuff as possible.
Uh-huh.
I keep going. Batman, Superman. They made a shot of zooming up to a statue, like so epic.
Super intense. That was
Yeah,
so intense.
I know. It's just a statue, and it was like awesome. Oh my god,
One
everything
thing
about
I
that was
gotta
great.
I gotta say is, again, this is I know you're not a huge fan because you haven't seen it, but Red versus Blue, one of the seasons had a trailer that I was like, oh, all the action scenes that they show in this trailer are from this one fight scene. That's probably just going to be the climax or whatever. And it's like, no, that was within like the first act of the movie.
Hmm.
All so they put like none of the fight scenes from, because there's a solid twist towards the end. Or I mean, it's a the season itself is a prequel, so everybody knows it, but they don't show anything from like the main actual climactic fight, and it was way beyond expectations and was just made it so much better. And I heard they did the same thing for, surprisingly, for the new Furious 7 movie. Apparently every cool action scene that you see in the trailer, they immediately after the trailer cuts away in the movie, they go on to do something even cooler in that same scene.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can nowadays at least thankfully to the franchise has kind of brought itself back from the dead. You can pretty much expect that movie to be filled with like an ungodly amount of action, and people just expect that, and it's always going to top itself right until the very end, which is always good.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely an example of a good trailer. If you could be like, "Oh, that looks cool. That looks like a decent movie," and then when you see it, it exceeds your expectations.
Yeah, and that's the point of a trailer, to
Yeah.
give you a taste without giving you the whole thing. Sometimes I get in these binges. I go on YouTube and I watch trailer after trailer. Oh, I haven't heard of that movie. Click. I haven't heard of that movie.
Uh-huh.
Click. and you find yourself seeing these really terribly made trailers that literally give away the whole trailer. And you scroll down to the comments, and everybody's just like, "Well, now I know exactly how the movie's gonna end." You can't do that.
Yeah,
But
I mean, and then sometimes people just complain about that for no reason. Like I saw a movie that was like they gave you the very basic gist of the plot, and everyone was like, "Wow, I basically know the entire movie." It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, not really.
you still got to see the movie. But I mean, it
Yeah,
does
it
defer
does.
people
Yeah,
away if you make a crappy trailer.
yeah, that's a very
So
important thing that people forget about. And then they do things like you can see the first, however many minutes of this movie on this exclusive website, or here's a clip from the movie, or here's an extended 3.5 minute trailer, and it's like, no, no matter how good the trailer is made, that will give away so many important scenes or so many good. It just seems
yeah,
so pointless by then.
yeah, I don't know. Well, nowadays in general, like it's great that we have all this stuff available through like the internet and stuff, and it gives us a reason and that's something to talk about. But it almost is like you miss out on all this stuff that's a surprise. There's
Uh huh.
everything's out there all the time. You see everything. You hear about something right away. And this will kind of lead me to what I want to talk about real quick too is you see set photos, on set photos constantly building up. Like every little thing is the most talked about thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's cool and all, but like there's people on Facebook that I've literally unfriended because they talk about Batman versus Superman too much. And I'm just like, dude, you're gonna make this wait so much longer. Like I
Yeah.
can't. I don't. Because he's so up on it, so he'd like post literally every day about some random new news that Batman vs Superman would have, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, it's too. It's so slow of a wait, so I can't wait that long. But
Yeah. And I gotta say, before you get into your
yeah,
thing,
no,
so we can move
yeah,
on, I gotta say, one of the best directors of, I mean, obviously the director himself doesn't have to do with his trailers, but one of the best directors that has some of the best movie trailers is David Fincher. Because if you go back and you look at how many trailers there were for both Gone Girl and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, both David Fincher movies, there was like two. One was like the first of each of both movies was a fully instrumental, like minute or so trailer with just like cool shots from the movie, and like both of them you're just like, I have no idea what this movie's about, but it looks cool and it's David Fincher and there's good music in the background. And the second was one that has kind of his typical ambiance music in the background with a lot of dialogue, and all the dialogue says certain clues like, I can't believe you did this, and you're like, oh, what did he do? And so like it draws you in. And it's the second one. The second trailer is probably a little more than like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes maybe. So it's like that's the perfect structure. You give them a small tease and then like a little bit more, and then you're good. You're just
yeah. Your power, your movie, your content should hold enough strength to keep it
yeah.
going. So I think it's almost like relative to how much your trailer gives away to how good your movie's gonna be.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I talked about this before. Maybe I'm crazy deja vu, but I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah. So Max, did you as well as everybody else saw the official quote unquote Jared Leto as Joker in his crazy
Yeah.
radical look that everyone is super polarized about?
Yeah, what do you
You
think
saw
what do you
that.
think about that?
What do I think of it? Well, I mean, I have my news that I'm kind of happy about, to be honest. But I was like, I give him the benefit of the doubt, just like I did with Ben Affleck, because these are two like characters that I'm really personal about. I don't want them to mess up so badly that I'm willing to wait until the movie actually comes out to really judge it.
Uh-huh.
But and with the trailer, if anyone's seen the trailer, Batman looks great in the bat suit, so I'm already a little bit more hopeful. So with Jared Leto, and that picture came out, I was like torn as because his face and his expression and his hair looks awesome, and I like how they kind of made his teeth rotted, but the tattoos
Yeah, they look like
really
they've
like
been really punched in.
Yeah, yeah, which makes sense
Yeah.
with the involvements with Batman. I mean, that totally makes sense. But the tattoos really threw me off in a good and bad way, I guess. I was like, I hated them at first, but then I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool. I guess it's kind of radical.
Uh huh.
But the more I thought about it, like it's if you know the Joker, you've seen so many different versions of him. But the one thing that I think would always hold true with him is that he wouldn't take the time to get tattoos. It's kind of superficial for Joker.
Yeah.
He
Uh,
doesn't need haha on his arm. He's a lunatic. He kills people. He doesn't need that
he
stuff.
says
It seems
haha.
though like yeah, it seems to downgrade him from this kind of like crazy, enigmatic criminal to like just some thug, you know.
Yeah. To quote to quote Weekly Planet, shout out to those guys. I could picture younger before pre-Joker getting like certain tattoos on him, but like I can't picture him going to a tattoo artist and going, "All right, ha ha ha, you're gonna put this on my arm, ha 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 ha
Yeah,
ha 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 ha," and just like 10 more times.
and yeah, I did like how they appreciated the new look of Joker, and then at the very end, the guy's like, "Yeah, but the tattoo on his forehead is dumb," which it is. It's so dumb, and it's very dumb,
Yeah.
and that leads me to say it's okay because you might be hearing this first from us, which I'd be very surprised about. But it's kind of a rumor, I
If I
think, but
edited that
I'm
fast, then yeah, absolutely, you'd hear it first from us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to edit it super fast.
The pressure.
um, I think that is not going to be the look of Joker. I've word from some random tweets of pictures or people that have said that it is the not the official Suicide Squad Joker, but it is the look. I guess they were celebrating something with the Joker as a character having an anniversary or a birthday or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
his like creation or
So
something like that.
yeah, so they put all the things that you know, and they didn't know how to celebrate that. They just decided to put them as fake tattoos on Jared Leto's new version of the Joker. So, if anybody's pissed and listening to this, rest assured, I'm almost sure that that is not the real Joker. Just picture that Joker with no tattoos, and that probably will be Jared Leto as the Joker.
Yeah, and that I have no problem with. I mean,
That would be great.
his look is fantastic.
I think that's what polarized so many people was the tattoos.
Yeah, that was
The look
seriously
is
it.
great.
Everybody else was kind of like, "Oh yeah, he looks great," but fuck those tattoos.
Yeah, you know. But that's my opinion on that. So,
I saw a bunch
um,
of funny tweets about that. The one was like, uh, "It looks like Joker had a son and he was super rebellious" or something like that. Or
yeah,
it looks like the Joker just came from a Good Charlotte concert.
yeah, it's really funny. It's definitely I understand they're trying to make like a real big departure from Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson, and I
Uh
guess
huh.
that's the way to do it. But I really hope they get rid of those. They really don't need him because he already looks fantastic. And like I said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You know what I really want, and I I love that I'm hearing this all over the internet, even though it's like such a crazy thing to see a new Joker. Um, the internet really is crying out for a set picture of Harley Quinn there. You know,
What a surprise! Margot
who cares?
Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Yeah, who cares about Jared Leto as Joker? I mean, he's going to do a fantastic job. Everybody knows that. I want to see Margot Robbie in a skimpy little Harley outfit.
Yeah,
Be a real
everyone's
hit.
just like the director's just like, "Hey, look at Joker," and they're like, "Yeah, we fucking who cares? Just where's Harley Quinn?"
It is the first live action version of her, and I can't wait to see what that looks like. And Margot Robbie's not to mention she's a solid actress from what I've seen so far, and she's just a babe in general, which is great. I can't wait.
Every comic book fan everywhere, they didn't when they found out about her casting. I feel like they didn't freak out. They just kind of like stopped, sat back in their chair, had that like grim little shit-eating smile, and just went, "Bro."
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
That was
Dude,
everyone's reaction
you
to
you
that.
could like you could like title a YouTube video of her in Wolf of Wall Street and just say Margot Robbie Harley Quinn audition tape, and everybody would believe that that was true. I mean, like she basically is that minus the crazy criminal psychopathic part. But she's got the like overly sexualized, and she's got the accent down, and like she's pretty much Harley Quinn in that movie already. And then not to mention everything else just goes along with it. It literally is like the best casting ever. It's like
Uh-huh.
the best.
Yeah, a lot more people are saying that the Suicide Squad is gonna be kind of similar to that Assault on Arkham animated movie, with a few swap outs of the villains and like replacing a few and adding a few. But they're saying
Yeah,
obviously a lot less. If Batman's going to be in it at all, then it's going to be a cameo on both ends. If Joker's going to be in Batman v Superman, it's going to be a cameo, if anything. But even nobody's even like had that rumor. They're just kind of like, they're just that's their
it's all
speculating.
skepticism. I could tell you a million different things based on what I've read and what I've seen, because all these things kind of do hint. That's why everybody says it,
Yeah,
because there's existing versions of the stories already which involve these characters, and people are like, oh, well, he shows up in that, so he might show up in this. But it's not always true. That
yeah,
is something I'm happy that they hopefully can keep under wraps, because I'd really like to not hear about Batman being in it until like the last second, or like while I'm watching it. Oh shit, man, I'd lose it. I think that'd be
yeah.
great.
Marvel's getting better about that. About as far as like they can't. They're really becoming like, and I'm pretty sure DC or Warner Brothers slash DC is eventually gonna like get used to. Oh, I can't tell you anything about this because of this.
Yeah,
Marvel is so good at that. They're like the lockdown like secret service of scripts.
they
They just
have to
have.
be nowadays, man. They
Oh, I
have to
know.
be.
I
So
mean,
many leaks and cracks, and like this seems like.
like I always complain like sometimes I complain like, "Oh, why did you announce all movies up until, whatever 2020 or whatever they announced it?" Cuz that leaves so few surprises for, whatever announcements in the future. But every time I still get surprised, like I eventually actually see the movie, I'm like, "Wow, okay, that was not even hinted at in the least bit." So,
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I don't know what else. What else?
I mean, yeah, speaking of, if we're going off of Marvel, two things kind of related to them. Apparently, Daredevil, unsurprisingly, is just sweeping up ratings on Netflix and is just crushing all the other shows.
Oh yeah. Well, you finished it, right?
Oh yeah, I finished it so quickly. We won't
Don't
have
give anything away.
You didn't finish it, so we're not going to do a spoiler cast on that. But eventually,
Of course.
we're gonna have a full,
Yeah, because that is a fantastic show. I have yet to
phenomenal
see an
show.
episode.
Everybody should watch that. Everybody should watch any show on Netflix. To be honest, there are so many good original shows.
Yeah,
House of Cards, that Bloodline that just started. Apparently, it's
that
getting.
looked that
Apparently,
looked
it's
really interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's getting really good reviews, even though it's not getting good ratings. But I'm 90% sure that's because of Daredevil. So.
Yeah. Well, I just saw the cast like list for Bloodline, and I saw a quick trailer for it on TV. I was like, wow, I should probably see that. But I was like, I'm watching way too many shows right now. So
Oh
it's
yeah, me
it's Game
too.
of Thrones seasons, man. So it's tough to continue all this stuff. I got Daredevil going. Shame to admit it, but I am super hooked on Friends thanks to Netflix. I cannot get enough, man. It's like a quick 20-minute thing, you know? It's like when I
Daredevil,
was
Game of
watching Scrubs.
Thrones, Daredevil, Game of Thrones, and Friends.
Yep. I got my range. I got my variety there.
Anais might be getting me hooked into Orange Is the New Black because
Dude, great show.
her being psyched about the newest season is just every time that we would hang out, she would go, what we could do is we could watch the first season of Orange Is the New Black, like if you wanted to. Kind of that hint that's not really a hint.
Another Netflix original.
Yeah, another
Fantastic show.
another Netflix original that I'm hearing is great. I saw the first two episodes,
I
And
mean, I will say about that real quick. It starts out great, and
uh-huh.
like the first episodes are awesome. Like they set up like a cool prison movie basically, but instead it's like a main character is like this pampered, suburban girl. But it quickly kind of turns into a soap opera almost, and that kind of gets a little
I
boring at
definitely
times.
see that coming for the
Like
future.
mid-season episodes that usually get kind of lulled delve into that, but that's only like the second season. But it doesn't happen often enough for me to not want to watch it again.
Yeah, a lot of dark humor I've noticed in the first like two
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah, it's a good show though. But yeah, Netflix original, not all good. You know that Marco Polo show that came out?
Yeah, that looked really great.
I looked at, I didn't take my time to watch it because it's hard to know if something's gonna be good or not. You don't really want to invest all your time into that. So
Yeah,
I just basically Googled how the reviews were doing on Marco Polo because it looked really interesting. Is
yeah,
getting trashed in the reviews.
that's
Trashed.
rough. That's unfortunate.
It's too bad, yeah, because it did look good, didn't it?
It looked really good. I'll probably end up watching at least the pilot just to see like
Yeah.
because it looks like a very cool kind of like Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes meets, history.
Yeah, something like that. But apparently it wasn't too well. It's what I've heard poorly paced, unlikable characters, basically suffering from Gotham, syndrome.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like we've gotten off of movies here lately. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess to round back onto movies and stick with Marvel, have you seen any of the news about Spider-Man?
No. There's what I've heard is that they're looking for a new guy. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping you have something to tell
Yeah.
me about that.
So, so
Enlighten me.
first off, he's most likely they're like Marvel, even Marvel isn't sure. They're like, yeah, we're pretty sure Spider-Man's gonna show up in Captain America: Civil War. I'm sure they probably know exactly where he's gonna show up because they all have this shit planned out. But
Yeah.
the next movie, if they when they do a standalone movie, there's a possibility that it's going to be called Spider-Man: The New Avenger, which I don't like. I think it's
What?
it's called, you know.
Yeah. What is that? That can mean some things. I guess I don't know the comics enough to know that, but
Well, I
well,
mean,
no,
I know
that
Spider-Man is
makes
in the
sense. It's just
Avengers, but
yeah, it's just gonna be they're gonna solidify him onto the team. So
yeah,
that's just a way of making his own standalone thing.
yeah. I mean, what I thought would
I
have.
thought it was like a complete departure from the old Avengers, and then Spider-Man was starting a new thing. But
Oh
that
no,
would be
no, not like the actual in the comics when there are the new Avengers. But I think he's just kind of a reference that he's a new member. What I
yeah.
thought, like, they have the first series is Spider-Man. The second series, which took forever to make, is The Amazing Spider-Man. That was sarcasm, by the way. The newest, if they're gonna do a third series, why don't you take the third name that Spider-Man has, and that's the Spectacular Spider-Man. Like I thought they were gonna do that with The Amazing Spider-Man
I
when
had
they
heard that they may have done that too. That makes sense.
like I
That
know there's a
would have made
cartoon
sense.
on called The Spectacular Spider-Man, but I thought they were going to do that with the Amazing Spider-Man
Maybe
instead
it's
of calling it Amazing Spider-Man 2, just call it Spectacular and then it's like, "Oh, he's changed, I guess."
maybe it's they don't want to do spectacular because it's too similar to amazing. They're just like it's just too much. It would seem dumb to some people. Maybe I don't know.
To quote
Like
the one part
comic book fans would be like, "Oh no, man, it's like a comic book. It makes sense." But everybody else would be like, well, "This is kind of dumb."
to quote the one part in Civil War, the actual comic, I remember the Spider-Man does something super cool and Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, says, "Oh, that was amazing," and Spider-Man just looks at him, and it was one of the most badass. I'm not a huge fan of Spider-Man just because he's very not badass, but
Yeah.
but one of the few real true badass moments that Spider-Man had was when Reed Richards was like, "Amazing." Spider-Man looks at him and goes, "No, spectacular," and just flies off. And I'm like, "Oh, because of the name."
I get it.
And he
I
was wearing his spectacular Spider-Man suit because apparently that's a
yeah.
different suit.
Is that the red and gold one?
I think so, yeah, with the claws.
Yeah, it's
That'd be
pretty
cool
sweet.
to see in a movie. I'm waiting for them to make that because that could be really cool.
Well, you know, the red and gold suit, which people might not know, is very different from the typical traditional one. You know, with Spider-Man, it's got like claws and shit. It's really cool. But
Yeah.
supposedly, the history of it is that it was made by Tony Stark. So maybe
Oh
if
yeah.
now that he's going to be introduced by the Marvel guys, they'll hint at that, and then maybe they can introduce it. I think it would be too much of a departure for them to just introduce it right away.
Oh yeah.
But
I was just for one of the series. If any of the Spider-Man series could stay afloat, because
yeah, I
apparently
know. It
that's
just seems like they can't. It's
not.
ridiculous.
So moving on to who's rumored to cast. The main person rumored is Asa Butterfield, who is Ender's Game, which apparently was good but flopped. Hugo, which apparently was, it's Martin Scorsese, so it was a good movie, got like crazy good reviews. Main character of that I've only seen him in like 10 years ago when he was in not 10 years ago, just a few years ago when he was in Boy in the Striped Pajamas and he was tiny, so I couldn't really range if he was a good actor, but I mean,
Yeah. Well,
he
I
was
saw
good in that.
him. I can.
Oh,
I could tell you from Ender's Game, which I am not alone on this. The critics agree with me at least. Which they're not always right, but you'd like to you like to think they are most of the right sometimes.
yeah.
Um, and they talked about how while Ender's Game as a movie may have lacked in some parts, Asa Butterfield's acting was phenomenal, and that says a lot for him at his age. So
That is
I
good
think that
because
I think that'd be a great choice for Spider-Man. Of course, yeah, I haven't really seen him as far as a jokester, and Ender's Game is definitely not a jokester, so that you don't get a chance to see that. But
in Boy with the Striped Pajamas, he's definitely not a jokester.
isn't that a Holocaust movie?
It is. So I'm kind of happy he's not a jokester in that one.
Yeah, Holliston and haha don't usually go together, which is understandable. Even though we're laughing about it now, which is makes us terrible people, but who cares?
Yeah, that's how we roll. The other people possible for the position of Peter Parker slash Spider-Man is Nat Wolff of Fault in Our Stars fame and the upcoming Paper Towns, which both look okay,
Okay.
and Timothy Chalamet, who was the young Casey Affleck in Interstellar.
Let me think. I'm like, it is like hurting my head to have to think that far back. I can't
It's
remember.
hurting my
Like,
heart to
oh
have
wait,
to
no,
think of that
no,
movie
no,
because
nope.
it's
It just popped in my head now. That guy. No, see, that's how bad is. I'm supposed to be seeing it every other day, like I wanted to, like I would have dreamed to, but I just don't have time. But yeah, he'd be good too. I think I like their aim to go in the first one and the last one you just said because they're younger, and I'd like them to start with a younger Peter Parker,
okay.
just because he has a lot of room to, in case he wants to stick with that role, like stay that kind of like
Yeah,
younger that everybody expects Peter Parker to be.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
Nat Wolff, he played a small-ish role in Fault in Our Stars, and he was decent in that. I didn't see the entire film, which is bothering me because whenever I don't finish a film, it bothers me. But he was good in that. He's a little bit older than Asa Butterfield and Timothy Chalamet, whatever. And
I want to look up what this guy's last name is actually spelled.
Chalamet. It's Chalamet. So it's Chalamet?
Chalamet. Isn't it like
Chalamet?
it's like French?
Maybe. Sure.
Chalamet.
Uh,
Sounds it. It's like I don't know.
Ask him. Hey Tim,
Yeah, I'll
you
call him up.
French?
Yeah, yo, dude.
Hey
You
man,
French?
you French? And also, can I hang out with Chris Nolan? Because you guys seem tight. So, you know, there's Spider-Man. What's his face from Nat
Yeah.
Wolff? Didn't seem in an interview. Kind of seemed like he wasn't sure Like, he's like, I heard about that. He's like, I'm not sure. Nobody's spoken to me directly. I just kind of heard
It's
the
gonna
rumors.
happen soon.
So it seems like he's
Either
he's kind of a no.
it's gonna happen either way, though.
Yeah,
We're,
Civil
like,
War's got to be.
decision. I'm saying the decision to cast him. It's
Oh
got to
yeah,
happen pretty soon because I saw an interviewer who talked about Civil War mentioning Spider-Man in it.
yeah,
Like he practically said it like, yeah, Spider-Man's gonna be in this movie, dude. Gonna be in it.
yeah.
But I think like the beginning talks are happening, and who's directing it. It's not the Russo brothers, is
Russo
it?
brothers. Yeah, they're doing Civil War.
Um, so they probably are like hard at. I guarantee you'll find out maybe within the next month or two who's Spider-Man.
Yeah,
They
I'm
really-
pretty sure Civil War's supposed to be filming like starting this summer.
Yeah.
So it
So, yeah.
can't be too long.
I'm
Speaking,
ex-
wow, we're on Segway Central lately. But speaking of Civil War, have you
this is
seen
not a segue.
have you seen the interview with Robert Downey Jr. where he walks off?
I did not. I heard about it though. I thought the headline probably like exaggerated, but I'm guessing
He
you
didn't
saw it.
storm
Oh.
out, which is what all the headlines say. He storms out of an
Yeah.
interview. He very politely was like this guy, the interviewer who previously got chewed out by Quentin Tarantino, rightfully so, because both times he kind of overstepped his boundaries. And, he was asking very personal questions of things that Robert Downey Jr. resolved years ago. Everybody knows his story, and, he's great at
Yeah.
everything he did. And he very calmly just kind of said, okay, we're done here. And I'm not quoting him. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he just kind of said, "Okay, bye," and took off his microphone and walked out of the interviewing room. And the interviewer is, I don't remember the guy's name, but he same thing happened with Tarantino. He tried to he instead of Tarantino leaving, though, obviously Tarantino being him, he just chewed this guy out for like 10 minutes after
Yeah.
he
And
asked
it's
the
like
guy.
weird little Tarantino voice.
Yeah, the guy was like, asking him questions about the controversy over Django, and Tarantino's like, "No, I'm not even gonna ask that question, or I'm not even gonna entertain that question because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to promote a movie." Which, right
Yeah.
on both of them.
So was that the same thing with Robert Downey? They kept asking him like his old personal questions about his old life, and he
Yeah,
wanted to talk about Age of
he
Ultron and
just straight
future
up said,
stuff.
"I'm sorry, are we promoting a movie here, or are we here to talk about my past?" And the interviewer just kept on kind of like feeding into it, like trying to get into it until, yeah,
Yeah.
and then Robert Downey Jr. was like, no. And he very calmly was like, those are things that happened and were said years ago, so I would rather just get back to the movie. And the interview just wouldn't have it, so
Yeah.
fuck that
Well,
guy.
fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's always both sides to it. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. You can't even imagine how many interviews he's been in. So I hate to say this, but like, there's some sort of professionalism as to just getting through it all and not being totally disrespectful. I mean, he kind of was disrespectful from what I'm hearing from you, but that being said, these interviewers do that shit all the time.
Well,
It's
that's the
really
thing
aggravating.
is because is this guy was he schedules when you schedule the thing about interviews is they're not just you going blind thinking, oh well, he could ask literally anything right now. Usually it's the agents are talking back and forth saying, all right, we're going to talk about this movie that's coming out of theirs to boost notoriety about this movie. So talk about these things. Literally everything else is unnecessary because I'm paying you money, you're paying me money to sit down to have my client's face everywhere so that they could
Yeah.
have an interview. And if he just completely ignores those guidelines as an interviewer, as a journalist, I do there are basic guidelines to being a good journalist and a respectful journalist, and that guy just kind of was just overstepping his boundaries. And
Ignored every single part of
that's
that.
pretty much it.
Yeah. You gotta respect both ways, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
and
that's
that was the
typical
thing.
that all those headlines kind of construed that. or
He was
whatever.
very polite about it. Just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go now. So
I can just imagine Robert Downey Jr. doing that, which is
yeah,
good because he's normally a weird dude. You've seen interviews with him. He's kind of a
he's a
weird,
kooky
like,
guy. Yeah.
he is pretty out there. So the interviewer guy should just be lucky, like he just didn't grab the nearest pen and stab him in the eye or something.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, I would be pissed too. Like those are dark demons in Downey's past, and he's promoting like a family movie, and this
If
guy's
anybody
bringing that
wants
up.
to
I
see
would have been
Robert Downey
pissed.
Jr., if anybody wants to see our boy RDJ, full fledged like crazy, watch Natural Born Killers. Um,
Oh
Max, have
yeah,
you
I
seen
haven't
this
seen that.
movie?
I haven't seen that yet. That's speaking of Tarantino. Tarantino written.
Dude, see it. It's Tarantino written, not necessarily like his own film,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty awesome movie. It's on Netflix, so go
Ooh.
see it. So it's really easy to see. Just and yeah, fantastic movie. Really weird and wacky. And the best part is it's got Robert Downey Jr. as this like just lunatic Australian reporter in his early days.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he's hilarious. He's like the funniest part of the movie. And but
That
yeah, you could tell he's on a bunch of different stuff. Not only the fact that he gets super into character, I guess, but he's just off the walls, batshit crazy in that movie.
yeah, he was great in Charlie Bartlett. That's one of my personal favorites of Robert Downey Jr.'s. Is just because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
kind of a minor character, but he's the serious Robert Downey Jr., which obviously isn't very serious, but like his
yeah. He's a
character's
lot
supposed
more
to be
tame.
serious, and but just his range is very good from being just kind of like a sarcastic, kind of like condescending guy to like just I don't want to spoil anything, but he's very good at ranging what he what his character is, and that's what I really liked about
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah. I saw. So I got it again because it's on Netflix. But it's a good, one of those feel good movies. Blah 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 blah. Good wins in the end.
Yeah, nice coming of age type movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So what about your tell me about your SUNY thing. Let's pull it all in for that thing.
all right, yeah. I mean, there is this kind of ties into two things. My segment about Kickstarter and Indiegogo. The grand jury prize winner of said film festival was funded via Kickstarter. So
Cool.
good job for those backers and good job for the filmmaker. They had a little over $3,000 to make this short film, and it is very fucking professionally made. It is very well done. I've had some personal qualms with it. There were issues with the script or whatever, but when it comes down to it, the reason it won was because you take this and you show this to a producer. You show this short film to a producer and say this director needs to direct a film in Hollywood, a gateway film as we would call it, and it's really great. It's so I will link that specifically, and then just the rest of the films I'll link in just as a whole. You'll be able to check that out. I'll link the SUNY-wide website. They have all the winners. A friend of mine got the second place winner for the animation category for his awesome short stop motion short film.
Cool.
And
Bravo.
yeah, shout out to him.
Silver. Not too bad.
Yeah.
That's what I always got in Mario Kart. So that's cool.
So yeah, the whole festival was great. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was happy. Just even though some of the awards, I think the best award was like a $50 gift certificate to some like I don't know, like equipment store for like film stuff. But either way, these people just loved it. They didn't care what the award was, just the fact that they were all there and everyone was there to celebrate what they made and like what art they made is very kind of touching.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was nice to see everybody just very humble. None of the directors seemed like they were uh, full of themselves. None of them were being jerks about anything. Even the people who didn't win anything, they were just cool guys. They were just like, I don't care. This was a cool thing. Everyone got to see my film, and that's really what comes down to it. That's the point of it. It was very
Yeah.
cool. Uh, the
Cool. So,
yeah
well, so yeah. So support your local film shit, I guess.
yeah these were
Yeah.
very
It's good. It's good to see that everybody's. You like to think that because they're doing it as like such a lower level, like uh, that it carries on to the higher levels, but it definitely doesn't sometimes. Not all the time, but
Yeah,
you like to think that some directors still maintain that.
it was one of those things that they told me that some of the other people who are upperclassmen here told me that going there and seeing some of the films that some of the people created, it will kind of be a downer. It'll kind of discourage you. Like these could, and I was like, oh, so they're just pretty well made. And they're like, no, they're like amazingly made, and they really were. Some of these looked like
Yeah,
were straight professional movies. The one was a documentary about wolves, and it was just like I don't know how there was like they shot on location in like Minnesota, and they got to like film around
Sigourney Weaver's
wolves.
the voiceover.
Sure, I mean I
Like,
wouldn't be
how
surprised.
do they do that? How do they pull her in? Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, there was just random stuff like just some of it was just so great. I mean all of it was so great. Even the stuff that was like you could tell had a lot less of a budget compared to everything was still like really well done. It was these
Yeah,
guys, everyone there did great. So, shout out to them. Good on them.
cool.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
So sticking with the Kickstarter thing, going back to that, there is, if anybody's ever heard of the YouTuber Ralph the Movie Maker, aka Ralph Seppi Jr., he does a lot of good, funny reviews, a lot of, goofy little critiques. He is, he did a short, he's a filmmaker at heart, that's his main goal, and he's made a few short films that with very little budget and with one of his short films was like a $50 budget and it still won like an award. He's like, 17 maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
But he might be 18 by now, I think, because I know the one when he won the award, he
But by
was
the time you
17.
finish editing this, he'll be 20. So
They'll probably, yeah, I mean, that's my editing process. Anyway, he's making a film, a full-length feature film, and he's funding it with Kickstarter. It's going to be kind of like his stuff I could tell is very kind of you think it's one thing but it's really not. It's called Lover and it's like a romance type movie, but he says at heart once the third act rolls around you realize it's a lot more. It's not just like some cheesy romance. There's like a thriller aspect, and he's giving very little away about it because he doesn't want to spoil it because he's even super excited about it. You could tell in his pledge video. He's like
yeah,
I'm actually really excited about this. He's like I know I can do this. So he's asking for $10,000. That's very tiny for a full length feature film. That's like nothing. So he's gonna be so that's good though. He's asking for like a decent amount for a first time filmmaker. 10,000, like I said, that's nothing. So I'm gonna
so
link his.
donate,
Yeah, definitely
support.
donate. I'm probably gonna do this one just because all of his stuff so far has been like amazing, and it's been stuff he's made in like high school. Like I said, one of his $50 short films won has won like awards and like is really well received. So if you got that going for you, that's inspiration for somebody to donate. I'll link that.
Yeah, sounds good.
What
So I feel bad now that I was thinking about it. We forgot to mention Jurassic World.
Oh yeah.
That was a big new I mean, that's not thing like it. A new trailer came out recently. I know it's coming out soon. Like it's a lot sooner than like a bunch of them, but
Hmm.
it follows under the same like trailer mania that's been going on lately with Batman vs Superman. Deadpool, Star Wars, and a new Jurassic World trailer came out, and I gotta say I'm pumped, but a lot of people are like weird about the whole like training raptors. I'm just really quickly wanted to mention it to give it credit because it looks awesome. I can't wait to see
It
it.
looks really
That's
good.
another epic cinematic trailer, and I'm interested. I can't wait to go see it. That's coming out soon, thank God, because I don't want to wait for that. I'm waiting for way too many movies as it is.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
movie.
just want to mention that.
I think that movie I'm less psyched about just because it's coming out soon. Like a year ago, if I had the trailer for all three of these movies, I would not be able to contain myself. But this movie, it's like, okay, I don't have to freak out as much about this movie because it's gonna be soon, and everything's gonna be okay, and you
Yeah.
know, we're gonna be
You'd be you're gonna freeze yourself and then wake you up in a few weeks and
yeah,
stuff like that. And
yeah.
then you wake up thousands of years later.
And you're like, ah,
You know.
shit, I kind of overshot this one, didn't I?
And then you go to a museum and find the DVD and watch it, and everything's good.
Yeah.
Because museums of the future will have DVDs
It'll
from
just
20.
that you can just take and watch.
Yeah, that's how it'll work. That's the future. Yeah, that's all I got though. Well, and
Um,
I feel like we can end on that note.
well, I have a little bit more. Um, kind of rounding back to I totally forgot about this. I was gonna tie this into the Suicide Squad discussion, but Tom Hardy is no longer going to be in Suicide Squad, and people are not sure who he's going to be replaced with. But the reason he's not going to be in it is social scheduling issues, which are going to specifically involve The Revenant, which is a movie directed by the guy who directed Birdman, which makes me incredibly excited. I just found that on accident once I found out that Tom Hardy's not going to be in Suicide Squad. You know, once I realized
Yeah.
that, I was like, oh, why isn't
Well,
he?
I know he's going to be replaced by. He's replaced by that guy, that other Ozzy. So I'll get on that end.
Okay, that's good.
So what's this Revenant movie about then?
Apparently
Any detail?
it's a historical drama, maybe, or maybe it's just a period piece that's not actually based on real things, but it's the frontiersman Hugh Glass, who in the 1820s set out on a path of vengeance against those who left him for dead after a bear mauling. That's
What?
what it follows.
Sounds like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Leo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy,
Oh,
Domhnall Gleeson, um, one of the one of the actors going, reference to our shout out to our old episode. One of the actors is named Paul Anderson, and he plays a character named Anderson.
oh boy, more confusing.
So, but like I said, it's the director of Birdman, which makes me automatically signed up because, and one of the co-writers of Birdman, which is the director. So I have no problem with that. That's a fantastic movie, insanely well
Yeah,
directed. So this is just automatically. It's got Leo DiCaprio and a great director. It's like you can't really go wrong with
yeah,
that one.
you can't get wrong with that.
That's gonna be great. I'm super excited about that.
And
Um,
Tardy's really coming up, so that'll be good to see him doing that. I'm pumped for Mad Max too.
oh yes,
Sweet, sweet.
absolutely. Those look That just all looks amazing.
Dude, I just like the look of that one other guy that just says that one quote. Was like,
What a lovely day or something.
"What a lovely day." Like
Yeah,
he looks more exciting than any other cast member.
yeah.
Dude, I'm pumped.
That's
Dude.
Beast from the First Class and X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Ah,
I
cool.
don't know. I forgot the actor's name. It's not coming to me right now, but I'll link him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks great.
Oh, yeah,
Charlize
great.
Theron looks fantastic with her robot arm.
Yeah, yeah. What her name is? It's called Fury Road or something because
Uh-huh.
her name is something like Furia or something like that's her name. I think.
Sounds like a sexual
I,
innuendo.
yeah. But the next movie is I think gonna tie into her thing. Like I can't tell you. I can't because I'm looking it up right
Because you're
now.
held under secrecy, you can't tell me.
I can't tell you because I'm secretly in the movie.
Uh,
So
so it's like the whole
yeah,
Marvel contract. You can't give anything away.
yeah. I can't. I'm sorry. Like I was gonna tell you.
How shitty would that be if just like one guy just didn't give a shit about that contract and was just like, yeah, no, this guy dies at the end. And then it was just like, yeah. Like, what does Marvel do? Like, they already filmed it. They're just like, shit. What do we
Yeah,
do?
like oh, so Charlize Theron's her character in Mad Max Fury Road is Furiosa.
Nice. She
Pretty cool.
should she should meet Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke.
Hey, you guys both have cool names. You wanna like be friends?
Just like, oh,
Dude,
well, I
you
mean,
know
we have to.
Max's last name from Mad Max?
It's not. It's not
Rockatansky?
Mad.
No, it's Rockatansky. Also a very odd name.
Max
Dude,
Rockatansky.
these All these names are awesome.
That's like the main character in Wolfenstein, the video games, is like BJ Blazkowicz or Blastovitz
Yeah,
or something like that, and it's like
yeah.
I don't know, like Hebrew for explosion or something. Who knows?
Hebrew for awesome.
It's probably it.
I mean, you got like, granted, this is a futuristic, like dystopian futurism or whatever, but you got Nicholas Holt. That's the guy's name that I was thinking of.
Yes.
His name is Nux in the movie. You got a chick named Toast. I'm
Of
serious.
course.
I'm pretty sure that's like the first time in movie history
I can't
somebody
wait for the future. I can't wait
actually
for the
named
future
Toast.
then because we have Toast, we got Furiosa, we got in Aliens, the one girl's name is Newt. So it's
Yeah.
like we all the future hold what the
Apparently,
future
the future
holds.
you just be named whatever the fuck you want. You know?
Yeah, the future doesn't have floating cars, okay? That's bullshit. They have cool names. That's exactly what they
Yeah.
have, and that's only what they
I,
have.
I bet my grandkid's name's gonna be named Lamp, and
Lamp.
that's just because I'm looking at a lamp right now.
I love Lamp. So,
Lamp.
if it's a girl,
Switch.
wait, so if
Actually,
it's
that's
a
kind of
girl and you're, her boyfriend comes up to you and says, "I want to marry your daughter," and you say why, and he just straight up quotes Steve Carell and just goes, "I love Lamp." Will you just let it happen immediately?
I would let it happen. I would say,
You
congrats.
have my blessing.
Now
Marry
go get Lamp.
marry Lamp and then make better naming decisions than I just did
That's
by naming my daughter
that's
Lamp.
assuming that Lamp hasn't already committed suicide by then because her name is Lamp.
Oh, good lord, that's a dark turn.
I'm just saying. This is my imaginary grandkid here, alright? We can have some sort of liberties with it.
Good luck, Lamp. Good luck,
Yeah. Good luck, future Lamp.
future niece of mine.
uh, or Frame, maybe.
So I was gonna continue to on another thing of news, but it involves someone dying, and I feel like by now that's just kind of ruined.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to my other news, and then eventually we'll segue into the other guy. So, there's this like cult following for this show Death Note, which is some anime that people are trying to get me hooked on that I haven't seen yet, but apparently is fucking lunatic insane.
Oh, I've
And
heard of it, actually.
yeah, I mean I've heard only good things about it, and but what
It's no Attack on Titan, is it? I mean, come on.
it's very different from Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan I have my own beef with. I love it, but it's so fucking wacky sometimes. Like it's just not okay. But that's neither here nor there. The director who is attached to direct this Death Note is Adam Wingard, who is people might know from like the indie scene. He did the movie The Guest, which is receiving nothing but good reviews. Your Next, which received mixed reviews because it's a very unique slasher, but I loved it. He did a few segments in the VHS films, which were
Hmm.
great. Some of the best horror movies that I've ever seen are in the VHS films. You know, so he's doing good. He's really a good director as far as like visuals go because Your Next and the previews to The Guest. I haven't seen The Guest, but the previews all look very like a visual spectacle. So that's gonna be good.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad for that. I like Next. It was very, like, it started out very blah, blah, blah slasher, you know? And
Yeah,
I don't mind that. I love all horror movies. But then things, like, really took a turn, and I was really impressed. So, and I think a lot of other people, too, once you talk to them, you're like, they're really like, you're next. So, and you
yeah.
gotta love a horror movie in which the girl kicks ass. You gotta love that.
Yeah, that was good because like if you were watching it and people were like, "Pff, what I would do was this," instantly she just did that. Whatever you were like,
Yeah.
it like anyone who ever did that whole the argument of I wouldn't have done that get like doesn't even need to just gets shut down by the time that movie's halfway over.
Yeah, she's finally like the first rational thinker in like ever of slasher history.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for news. So I just thought
All right.
you know, let's just end this real quickly off with a little memorial thing that we have on very recently, a few days ago, a very famous Oscar award-winning cinematographer Andrew Lesnie died at age 59 of a heart attack. He was the cinematographer
That's sad.
for all three Lord of the Rings movies, all three Hobbit movies, all of the other Peter Jackson movies. He did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I Am Legend. He was a great cinematographer, and I hadn't really followed specifically his work. I hadn't like known him until just now, but I mean, I know all of the movies. Every movie he's done, it's like not a surprise. You look at his IMDb list, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, that movie fucking rocked. So, and it was shot really well. So he's just one of those cinematographers that even if you don't know his name, you know all of his work. So, rest in peace, that guy, Andrew
Yeah,
Leslie.
some heavy films. Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like he did a good amount of jobs, did a good amount of work
Uh-huh.
in the amount of time. Very young, and that's sad, of course. But he, damn, Lord of the Rings
Oh yeah.
trilogy, I Am Legend. That's some cinematographic achievements, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, he's definitely not short of leaving a legacy behind him. Like
Yeah,
all those
absolutely.
movies are just I'll link him. I'll link the story about that I got on Variety about his departure. But
Hmm.
great great filmography, great guy. Did King Kong, that awesome King
Oh
Kong.
wow,
That
that's
movie
good.
rocked.
Yeah, I
So
mean, another really big like big cinematograph. I'm trying to find the word for
there's
that.
definitely not a real word. Cinematographic.
Cinematographic achievement. But
Sure.
yeah, that's another
Trademark
super
Nick a lot.
awesome. Yeah, trademark me. Don't use that fucking phrase. Anyone else? But yeah, great movies. It sounds like he did an incredible job. So
Yeah.
hats off to that man.
So thumbs up to him. Great on you. Uh, looks like on that great note, I think we're gonna head out on this one.
It's like the Oscars, man. Ends on a sad note. But then we have nothing to follow up. So just sad.
Yeah.
And
I
that's our
mean,
voices, which is even sadder.
it's like the Oscars, but less John Travolta, and that's always a good thing.
That's not a terrible thing. Yeah, there you go. There's a silver lining. We
Yeah.
don't have John Travolta in this podcast.
Ending
Trust
on
me,
a
actually,
down note,
we had to pay him to not be on here.
he wanted to
He's seen
awkwardly
better
touch
days.
us, mess up our name, and awkwardly touch us, but we were like,
Yeah,
no, we'll save that for another video,
yeah,
maybe.
it's weird.
And audience, we'll leave you with the thought of John Travolta awkwardly touching your thoughts.
Yeah. What do we got for next week? Any idea? Or next time, let's just say.
Well, next time is gonna be after Avengers 2 comes out, and I'm
Oh,
seeing
okay.
that very soon.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that. We'll talk
I'm
about that a
insanely
lot.
pumped for that. We'll talk about that non-spoilery. Then towards the end of the podcast, we'll probably get into spoiler cast if we've both seen it by then. We'll
Yeah.
probably talk more about Daredevil if you watch it,
Yep.
and
I'm
you know
excited for that podcast too. Everybody else should who's been watching it. It's awesome.
next
Whoa.
week. Next week is May the 4th, which is the Star Wars Day, which means we can talk about Star
Something
Wars.
might happen.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Star Wars Day. We might talk about Star Wars
Yeah.
just cause it's an excuse to talk about some of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah. Of course.
All right,
Until then,
Pete.
I am Nick,
I am Max.
and we are the Real Brothers. We'll see you next time.
Brothers ready? Roll podcast and action.